Hi and welcome to the Tristan channel, and today I'll be talking about chaos magic. As before with my other videos, I did a video about magic in the Marvel universe. But do any of these kind of magic exist, or are they based on reality? Well, with all things in comics, they are loosely based on real world ideas. So let's explore chaos magic. Chaos magic, also spelled chaos magic with a K, is a contemporary magical practice. It was literally developed in England in the 1970s, drawing heavily from the philosophy of artist and occultist Austin Osman Spare. Sometimes referred to as success magic or results-based magic, chaos magic claims to emphasize on an attainment of specific results over the symbolic, ritualistic, theological, or otherwise ornamental aspects of other occult traditions. Chaos magic has been described as a union of traditional occult techniques and applied postmodernism, particularly a postmodernist skepticism concerning the existence or nobility of objective truth. Chaos magicians subconsciously treat belief as a tool, often creating their own idiosyncratic magical systems and frequently borrowing from other magical traditions, religious movements, popular culture, and various strands of philosophy. Early leading figures, including Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin, chaos magic was first developed in the mid-1970s at a time when British occultism was dominated by Wicca and Thelema. Although both of these traditions incorporate magical elements, they are both religious and as such contain devotional elements, liturgy, and dogma. Chaos magic grew out of the desire of some occultists to strip away these intrinsic details and distill magic down to a set of tried and tested techniques for causing effects to occur in reality. An often quoted line from Peter Carroll is, "Magic will not free itself from occultism until we have strangled the last astrologer with the guts of the last spiritual master." Charming guy. Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin are considered to be the founders of chaos magic, although Phil Hine points out that there were others lurking in the background, such as the Stoke Newington Sorcerers, a group which included Charles Brewster, Frater Chronozon. Carroll was a regular contributor to the New Equinox, a magazine edited by Sherwin, and thus the two became acquainted. 1978 was perhaps the seminal year in the origin of chaos magic, seeing the publication of both Liber Null by Carroll and the Book of Results by Sherwin, the first published books on chaos magic, and the establishment of the Illuminates of Thanateros, the first chaos magic organization. Austin Osman Spare is largely the source of chaos magical theory and practice. Specifically, Spare developed the use of sigils and the use of genosis to empower these. Most basic sigil work recapitulates Spare's technique, including the construction of a phrase detailing the magical intent, the elimination of duplicate letters, and the artistic recombination of the remaining letters to form the sigil. Though Spare died before chaos magic emerged, many considered him to be the grandfather of chaos magic because of his repudiation of traditional magical systems in favor of a technique based on genosis. Aleister Crowley was a marginal yet early and ongoing influence, particularly for his syncretic approach to magic and his emphasis on experimentation and deconditioning. Other early influences include Discordianism, the punk movement, postmodernism, and the writings of Robert Anton Wilson. Lionel Snell was also publishing writing on Spa in the mid-1970s and became drawn into the burgeoning chaosic movement. Snell's book in 1974 also came to influence the early chaos magicians. However, despite these influences, it's clear from their early writings that the first chaos magicians were attempting to recover a sort of universal shamanism by stripping away any accumulated cultural gloss. New chaos magic groups emerged in the early 1980s, at first located in Yorkshire, where both Sherwin and Carroll were living. The early scene was focused on a shop in Leeds called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, owned by Chris Bray. Bray also published a magazine called The Lamp of Thoth, which published articles on chaos magic, and his Sorcerer's Apprentice Press re-released both Les Belles Nouvelles and Book of Results, as well as issuing Psychonaut and The Theatre of Magic. The Circle of Chaos, which included Dave Lee, was formed in Yorkshire in 1982. The rituals of this group were published by Paula Paganini as The Cardinal Rites of Chaos in 1985. Ralph Techmeyer, who ran a bookshop in Germany and was already practicing his own brand of ice magic, translated Nibelunge into German. Tegmeister was inducted into the IOT in the mid-1980s and later established the German section of the order. He was excommunicated in 1990 over the ice magic wars. Lola Babla established the first American IOT temple in 1988. As chaos magic spread, people from outside Carroll and Sherwin's circle began publishing on the topic. Phil Hine, who practiced chaos magic alongside Tantra and Wicca, published a number of books on the subject that were particularly influential in spreading chaos magic techniques via the internet. Jack D. Hawkins from California wrote an article on chaos magic for Meslim magazine, coming into contact with Sherwin and other IOT members in the process. Hawkins later wrote the first chaos magic book intended for a general readership. In 1992, Jan Fries published Visual Magic, introducing his own blend of freestyle shamanism, which has had influence on chaos magic. In 1981, Genesis P. Porridge established the Temple of Psychic Youth, an art collective and magical order. P. Orridge had studied magic under William S. Burroughs and Brian Ginson in the 1970s, and was also influenced by Aleister Crowley and Austin Osman Spar, as well as the psychedelic movement. TOPY practiced chaos magic alongside their other activities and helped raise awareness of chaos magic in subcultures like the acid house and industrial music scenes. They were also particularly responsible for introducing techniques of Burrough and Jints into the chaos magic stream, but this influence also ran the other way, with Burrough, who already practiced magic and was experimenting with Spar's sigil technique, being inducted into the IOT in the early 1990s. From the beginning, chaos magic has had a tendency to draw on the symbolism of pop culture in addition to that of traditional magical systems, the rationale being that all symbol systems are equally arbitrary and thus equally valid, the belief invested in them being the thing that matters. The symbol of chaos, for example, was lifted from the fantasy novels of Michael Moorcock, preluded by Kenneth Grant, who had studied with both Crowley and Spar and who had introduced elements of H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Cthulhu mythos into his own magical writings. There's a trend for chaos magicians to perform rituals invoking or otherwise dealing with entities from Lovecraft's work, such as the Great Old Ones. Hine, for example, published the Pseudonomicon in 1994, a book of Lovecraftian rites. In turn, by the mid-1990s, chaos magic itself was beginning to leak into pop culture. Many of the writers and artists who produced stripes for British sci-fi comic 2000 AD also practiced chaos magic, among them Pat Mills and Tony Skinner. Grant Morrison, who began practicing chaos magic at 19, wrote the series Zenith for 2000 AD. Zenith frequently featured chaos magic themes, as well as a distinct Lovecraftian influence. The Cthulhu mythos-inspired monsters of the story were copied straight from the illustrations of Libra Null, leading to the threat of a lawsuit from Peter Carroll. From 1994 to 2000, Morrison wrote The Invisibles for DC Comics' Vertigo imprint, which had been described by Morrison as a hypersigil, a dynamic miniature model of the magician's universe, a hologram, a microcosm or a voodoo doll which can be manipulated in real time to produce changes in the macrocosmic environment of real life. Both the Invisibles and the activities of Morrison himself were responsible for bringing chaos magic to a much wider audience in the late 1990s and early 2000s, with the writer outlining their views on the chaos magic in the pop magic chapter of A Book of Lies 2003, a Disinfo convention talk, and the documentary Grant Morrison Talking with Gods. Morrison's particular take on chaos magic exemplified the irrelevant pop culture elements of the tradition, with Morrison arguing that the deities of different religions, Hermes, Mercury, Thoth, Ganesh, etc., are nothing more than different cultural glosses for more universal big ideas, and are therefore interchangeable both with each other and with other pop culture icons like The Flash or Metron or Madonna. Over the course of the past decade, chaos magic has experienced a shift away from the pop cultural interpretation that typified the Lovecraft and Morrison era. Alan Chapman, whilst praising chaos magic for breathing new life into Western occultism, thereby saving it from being lost behind a wall of overly complex symbolism and antiquated morality, has also criticised chaos magic for its lack of initiatory knowledge, i.e. teachings that cannot be learned from books but must be transmitted orally or demonstrated, present in all traditional schools of magic. Magical traditions like Wicca, Kabbalah, or the Golden Dawn system combine techniques for bringing about change with the beliefs, attitudes, a conceptual model of the universe, if not several, a moral ethic, and a few other things besides. Chaos magic grew out of the desire to strip away all these extraneous elements, leaving behind only the techniques for effecting change. Hence the emphasis is on the actual doing things, i.e. experimenting with different techniques rather than memorizing complex rules, symbols, and correspondence, and then retaining those techniques that appear to produce results. This pick and mix DIY approach means that the working practice of different chaos magicians often look drastically different, with many authors explicitly encouraging the readers to invent their own magical style. The central defining tenet of chaos magic is arguably the meta-belief, that belief is a tool for achieving effects. In chaos magic, complex symbol systems like Kabbalah, the Enochian system, astrology, or the I Ching are treated as maps or symbolic and linguistic constructs that can be manipulated to achieve certain ends, but have no absolute or objective truth value in themselves. A position referred to by religious scholar Hugh Urban as a rejection of all fixed models of reality, and often summarized with the phrase, "Nothing is true, everything is permitted." Some commentators have traced these positions to the influence of postmodernism on contemporary occultism. Another influence comes from the magical system of Austin Osman Spar, who believed that belief itself was a form of psychic energy that became locked up in rigid belief structures, and that could be released by breaking down those structures. This free belief could be directed towards new aims. Within the magical system of Austin Osman Spar, magic was thought to operate by using symbols to communicate desire to something Spar termed Kia, a sort of universal mind of which individual human consciousness are aspects via the passage of the unconscious, hence the need for complex systems of symbolism. Provided there was enough free belief to feed them, these desires would then grow unconsciously into obsessions, which would culminate in magical results occurring in reality. Peter J. Carroll inherited this model from Spar, but used the term Kia to refer to the consciousness of the individual, the elusive I which confers self-awareness. The more general universal force of which Kia is an aspect, Carroll termed chaos. In his own words, he said, "Chaos is the force which has caused life to evolve itself out of dust, and is currently most concentratedly manifest in the human life force, or Kia, where it is the source of consciousness. To the extent that the Kia can become one with chaos, it can extend its will and perception into the universe to accomplish magic." Be like chi. And there you have it. A brief informative video on chaos magic. If you like this video, hit the like, and if you haven't, then please show support by subscribing to the channel. And until next time, take care and be well.